we've got these really exciting stories about the saints, which feel like totally untapped in our country, at least. You know, Tolkien, Lewis, all these guys, they knew, especially Tolkien, he was a professor of anglo-saxon. He knew the stories of the anglo-saxon saints. You know, sometimes I'm slightly envious of our American friends when there's so many Christians in America. Like there's a lot more community. It's a lot more easy for young guys to kind of find some way. It seems like that way anyway, to find a kind of Christian community. Young guys in this country, it's not. But this is an old country, and the ground, the trees, the wind still speak to me now that I've entered this world. It still speaks the names of some of these saints. Yeah. Some of these people who, you know, I believe are rooting for us in every sense of the word. You can still touch the places that they've visited, and these are people, you know, maybe coming from a tradition that doesn't sort of talk about people recognized as saints. In a way, these are like beacons of light. These are beacons of light that can show you how to access that life transformed by God. Yeah, and it all sort of, everything points back to Christ. Yeah. And I think that's why the stories are so interesting. There's these narrative, almost mythologies that are formed around these saints because they lived in such a way that was, even in the time where you've got monasteries everywhere and monks everywhere, these few people really shone. Like there was something about them that was really different to the point where stories developed around them and tales and what gets remembered, I think, is very important, especially in a time where most things that got remembered were whatever got passed on in story form. So there's a reason that those stories exist still, and like you said, they've almost been forgotten. They're almost gone, but luckily we have them. We have the internet. Lots of people still have access to them, and hopefully we can amplify them and sort of bring more eyes onto these stories and to that mythology that's already exists on the landscape that we live. That's it. I think that's it as well. For me, the saints are the element that take this beyond online discussion. And even, you know, as I say, this is not a substitute to church, but even just beyond the kind of Sunday morning element that you have in the Christian life, this for me, and living in an old country, the saints bring us out into places like this. Yeah. They bring you, we went on a little pilgrimage, myself and Ryan, a few months ago. We went to the holy island of Lindisfarne, which is one of the most important Christian sites in England. And there are places there where the ducks are known as cuddy ducks after St. Cuthbert. Like there's this, that's a kind of quaint example, but there's this real connection that still exists, as you say, almost forgotten, but it draws us out into this into a world full of adventure. I kind of feel like I can't quite explain it, but it draws you out of just the theoretical, of just maybe reading the Bible, into a world that you actually is enchanted, is rich, is, I don't know, wonderful. Yeah, it really is. It's almost like the participation is the final piece of the puzzle. So earlier on you asked about how we get people who maybe see the stories as a nice sort of thing, but it can't really land for them. They're like, I just can't believe it. There's something about it. Well, the participation is like, well, okay, forget what you believe. Come and experience these places. Come to the place where this miracle was said to have been performed, or come and see the place where St. Cuthbert lived, and look at the island where he lived. Yeah. Look at the water around it and how it smashes against the rocks, and how it's just all these different elements come together, and you're like, all of a sudden you can paint this picture of this actual story, but it's connected to the real world. It's like it's connected to a real place. Yeah. And once you see that, I think it just helps you make the connection between this thing that is clearly, it sort of helps you bridge the sort of mythical and narrative world into bring it home. And you know, a great example of that is, you know, we mentioned Tolkien a few times, is the figure of St. Oswald. So not all of these saints are just monastic figures. Like St. Oswald was a king. He's the kind of first great English anglo-saxon Christian king, and he planted his cross at Heavenfield. We went there a few weeks ago. Yeah. And so there's the story there of him which has parallels to Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Like there's so much here that's undiscovered, and we hope to kind of talk about this and kind of bring it to the fore again and see what speaks to people, I think. Yeah, these figures have such great qualities as well. Like I know just the few that you've highlighted definitely have they have their own very well-defined qualities to them. Like you have the ascetic monk in Cuthbert, but then you also have the saintly king soldier in Oswald.
Yeah.
And then you have, the abbess who for some reason is connected to turning snakes into stone, and there's all these elements to it which are so full of meaning and symbolism.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just waiting to kind of be picked at and to unravel and for people to dive into those stories.
Yeah.
And I think we spoke about the event days and where to do them and what to do on those days, and we've had some really good ideas of I think about ways of getting people not just visiting these places but actively like participating in the stories.
Yeah.
Like it's not enough just to read about them and see pictures and videos. It's not enough just to just go and visit and sort of walk around the museums and sort of all that's great, but it's something else to actually really take in really get involved, like to go to the beach on Whitby and look for snake stones, and to maybe go in the water in where St Cuthbert would have swum with the otters, and all those things to go to Heavenfield and just sort of go onto the fields around.
Yeah, that's
sort of try and picture
the place where Oswald apparently planted his cross is actually called Heavenfield.
Yes.
So it's just like, it's just unbelievable.
I think that helps bring it all together, is this participation.